And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today we're talking about Trey Amos and Terry McLaurin and their looming contract situation, which is going to impact the Washington Commanders as they get ready to head into training camp. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that subscribe button, just like Jaden Daniels is going to be hitting Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Zach Ertz, and many others for multiple touchdowns this upcoming season. And so in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it as we're talking about contracts for two players here. And so let's start with Trey Amos. And so he's unsigned. Could he miss camp here? And so if you've not got a chance to see this, you can head over to Yahoo Sports and you can catch this article under this title. But the key point here, 30 of 32 NFL second round picks haven't signed their contracts yet. And so that is pretty significant, especially when you're talking about Trey Amos, who's come in and really looked good in the OTAs in the mandatory mini camps. I definitely think that he's going to be a huge impact immediately for the Washington Commanders. But this is what Mike Floria had to say. And so you can go over to NBCSports.com if you want to read the entire article and what he had to say. But this is a snippet here from that, as he says that before 2025, no second round picks had received fully guaranteed rookie contracts. Paraphrasing here. So then it shows you that the Texans went ahead and signed Jaden Higgins, the second pick in round 2, to a fully guaranteed deal. Then you see that the Browns gave linebacker Carson Schlesinger, the first pick in round 2, a fully guaranteed deal, as they had no choice really, or little choice, I should say, once the player taken immediately after him got a fully guaranteed contract. For the next 30 picks in round 2, no deal has been done. While all of them participated in the offseason program under participation agreements, they won't be practicing or even present without signing contracts. All right, and so that is huge, because I just talked about the fact that Trey Amos has looked really good in the mandatory mini camps and everything else with the OTAs, and he's been terrific there. You've heard Joe Witt talk about just how attentive he's been and just really locked in. And I think that Trey Amos, in my opinion, has a very good chance of winning this position, alongside of Marshon Lattimore on the other side of the field there. So I think that those could be our two outside corners, which would naturally push Mikey Sainristil inside. But with this contract issue looming, I think that this is huge, because yes, it's great that he's come in and he's done the mandatory mini camps and he's done the OTAs. But like I said before, with the amount of pressure that is going to be on the Washington Commanders and just the amount of attention that they're going to get, they have got to stay as locked in as possible, and you have to minimize distractions. And so I'm not saying that this is necessarily, it's not Trey Amos's fault or anything like that, but I think that this is a situation where the team has to get this done, because you want to get your players out onto the field. You want to make sure that they're getting the maximum time on the practice field and really stacking these days, because that is what it's going to take, especially when you're talking about defense. I think that really the key for the Washington Commanders to take a step forward as a team, we've talked about the offense, but defensively, we're going to have to be better against the run. We're also going to have to generate some turnovers and get it over to this offense. We're assuming that the offense is going to be better. So that means that you have to be that type of optimistic or opportunity type of defense, where you're taking, the opportunities to turn the football over. And I think that Trey Amos certainly helps us there, along with Marshon Lattimore. And it also gives us a bit of nastiness back there. And so hopefully we can get this deal done. But I think it is going to get real here if he is not at the camp here starting, I believe, July the 18th. So this Friday, I believe that is when the rookies are going to report. And then you have the 22nd, I believe, is when the veterans are going to come there. And so hopefully the Commanders can get a deal done. But I definitely think that this is going to be something that is pretty challenging, because just going back to this, we're talking about guaranteed money. And so that's one of the things that is going to be really the sticking point across the National Football League, which is why I said it's not anything to do with Trey Amos. It's not necessarily anything to do with the Commanders at this point. point. It's the business side of things. And so how do the Washington Commanders really go in and figure this thing out? Especially, if you go back and you click this article here from Mike Floria, it actually breaks down, what the guarantees have been, for rookies coming in on the second round or whatnot. And so this is going to be interesting how this gets taken care of this season. But Trey Amos is definitely a part of this as well. So hopefully he can get taken care of and we can get him into camp. And so next, I wanted to go ahead and shift focus here. And I want to look at Terry McLaurin and that situation. And so, look, here's the update so far. I mean, we really haven't heard really anything else. The last report that I talked about here was an NFL insider talking about how Terry McLaurin doesn't want to reset the market, which, I can definitely see that. And just the bottom line here is, look, he's going to be, I believe, 30 come September. So he's 29 right now. And he's looking to go ahead and secure, this maybe the last real payday here for him. And so, I think that he's gone out. He's definitely put the productivity out there. And the wide receiver market has changed. In fact, at the time of this recording, I'm just also seeing this which was on NFL.com that Garrett Wilson just signed a 4-year extension for $130 million. So that's right around $32 million, I think, per season there. And so, the wide receiver market has changed, which I think is going to make it very interesting now with Terry McLaurin, because, I'm guessing that Terry McLaurin is wanting to get at least $30 million. Again, I don't know, not his agent, not sure, but just based off how the market is going here. And so I think that this is going to be an interesting play. And I've said this, I think that you have to get Terry McLaurin into camp as soon as possible. You want to make sure that he gets onto the same page with all the other additions like Deebo Samuel, and then also too, all the running backs, Jaden Daniels. We know the connection that he has there, but just getting on the same page with these guys, because yes, he knows the plays, I'm sure of it, but the playbook is probably evolved, not probably has evolved. And so, you want to make sure that you get him out there, because look, we're going to get team's best punches this year. And so you've got to be ready. You want to minimize those distractions. And so hopefully, Adam Peters is able to take care of both of these players. And so let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking about, just these recent contract situations here. One, with Trey Amos and the current situation that's going on with the second round picks that are coming into the National Football League with the guaranteed money. Is this something that, Adam Peters is going to get done very quickly? Once again, rookies are set to report to camp here Friday. Then also too, going back to Terry McLaurin again, 5 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons, hasn't missed a game, I believe, in 4 seasons as well. Been very dependable. He was definitely huge for Jaden Daniels in his development. And to me, I think that Terry McLaurin is going to be huge for this offense this year, especially, even if he's not getting the football, the fact that offenses are going to have to account for him, it is going to open up a lot of other things offensively here. And so I think that you have to get Terry McLaurin out there with these guys practicing, getting on the same page here. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here what you're thinking about this. Does Adam Peters get the deal done for either of these guys heading into training camp? I'd love to hear the thoughts. And as usual, go Commanders, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.